Hi, I'm Ray. Today we've done the allotment and we're in the polytunnel. Bit of a coolish day out there today, a bit grey, a bit chilly. So I'm going to be in the polytunnel doing a few jobs. So the first job I want to do is harvest the rest of the cucumbers. The cucumber plant now is looking rather sad. There's no more flowers, there's no more cucumbers. So these are going to come out and we're going to make some room to grow our broad beans. So first job is to remove all of the cucumber plants from the polytunnel. So these have been pretty good. They've been in there all summer, and last year I tried to grow the cucumbers up a cane and it didn't really have great success. It kept sliding down the cane. But this year I used a bit of twine and I planted it with the twine attached to the root ball, and then the piece of twine went up to a main piece of twine between the arches. So all I have to do now is just cut, and then all the plant will just come away. And then they can just be pulled out. So this is the result that we had left on the plant, and half of this we didn't see because we didn't prune our cucumbers, and we left the foliage on and we didn't see that all these yellow ones had grown and were hidden. So that's one lesson to learn. Well, we've got a few decent cucumbers and these will go into the compost bin and make some good compost for us. So this was the space the cucumbers took, which wasn't that much space, but growing them vertical was excellent. But one thing I have noticed, now the cucumbers have finally departed, is that I never thought the critters returned this year, and obviously they have. I've seen no signs of them. This is the first sign that we've seen the critters back in the polytunnel. But anyway, I'm going to clear this bed up. This is going to be for our broad beans. So let's do some weeding. So this is the broad beans we planted. We did this around 3 weeks ago, and they're pretty tall already. And this is the Sutton, and this is a dwarf one, and this is ideal for windy areas, and it won't go too tall, doesn't get blown around. So my polytunnel, the sides are quite short, so this should be ideal in the polytunnel. So I'm going to get these in the ground. So I'm doing 2 rows. It's often good to plant in 2 rows, and it's also a good idea to try and stagger the rows. If you're planting beans direct, then the beans direct can go 2 inches deep, but the first row we're doing is 9 inches apart, and as we can see, the roots are already coming out the bottom. They're going pretty mad, as we can see. So these will need to be staked up at some point, and they're going in the ground by the door, and we can get a good crop. So the next one I'm going to do is stagger. So I'm going to start it slightly across, but we're doing it 9 inches apart, so 9 inches between rows and 9 inches between each seed. So that one's there. So the next one we're going to do it slightly staggered, so it can go in here. And they need a good watering. We can expect to see some of these by Easter time. We'll also set up the irrigation system so they can get watered while we're away. And that would be perfect. I'm just going in one by one. Looking forward to the old board beans again. We're not a great eater of board beans. None of the kids like board beans, but my daughter does try them. And we did have some for our Easter dinner. But like we say, we're not a massive fan. But I like to grow them. And I'll also show you how to grow them too. So that's the first row. Then we're going to plant a second row, slightly staggered. And we've got left 3, and that will be now, and we can get some more planted. And I use the same cell tray, and we'll get some more going for the garden on the outside. There we go. So there we go. That's the board beans planted. So this year, so one of my winter jobs was to tidy this shed, and we've gained all sorts of different things, different products that have just been left by various plot holders, and I've just gathered them all up and put them in the same place so we can go through these one day. But my shed it's only got one window, so the light is very, very dull. But we have got some seeds on the go here, and this is the lettuce, and it's doing okay now, not doing bad at all. So I'm going to pot some of this up, and I'll show you how we pot this up. So the next job I'm doing is just preparing a bit of a potting mix. This compost It's certainly not the best. And I'm just adding a bit of sand to the compost, and we're using this to fill up our pots. And in our pots will be some individual lettuces. So we're just doing a few pots just to grow on some lettuces. The rest will be growing into the polytunnel, but I just wanted a few in a few pots. So we've got 5 pots, and this is the lettuce that we've grown, and this was in the polytunnel. So I'm just going to gut each seedling. As we can see, we've got 3 leaves. I'm just going to prise it out using a trusty dibber of a pen, and we're putting it into the pot, putting it down as deep as we can, and then squashing, give it a tap, and there we go. So I'm just doing a few of these to have a supply at home, and we can take these home for the garden. So 2. These are going to get watered from below. We're going to take one more. Take this one, it's quite a strong seedling. And there we go. So that's some lettuces potted up. Ready to grow on. The onions that we put in the seed trays have started to sprout, but there's no sign of the garlics. So we've got a few jobs on the allotment done. We planted the broad beans, we tidied the polytunnel, we planted the sweet peas, and we've restarted a new batch of broad beans. So a couple of hours every week gets these little jobs done. And let me know in the comments what you've done on your allotment garden, on your vegetable garden this weekend. And there's a link here to some videos that may be helpful to you. So thank you very much. Cheers.